Hey guys, Gallantmon here for a not late night deck profile, actually a midday deck profile. As you can see from the thumbnail and the title, we're actually finally looking at Dinomon. I did not get the cards until BT20, so this will be my BT20 version of it. I'm basically skipping the old version, but with the new improvements, it's actually really nice. We don't really do much to change the deck, aside from adding one new level 7. And of course, some builds don't run it, but I run it. I run the old Omni Blitz. That card has actually clutched me games with both this deck and with Magna X, which I have brought back thanks to the new level 7 that I will be showing you guys. It's really crazy. Like, that card actually makes this deck even more broken because sometimes you can actually just check all their security, and with this, you can attack without suspending. I think probably some of you already know which card I'm talking about, but I want to keep it a surprise for the video. But yeah, this deck is actually really cool. I already saw a lot of the people at my locals playing this deck specifically. Um, so it was just really cool finally being able to actually physically play it. Because like my build was like kind of jank. I only had like two Dinomons, so I didn't want to show it off until I got it up to full power, and this is the full power version finally. So yeah, just wanted to show it off. So let's actually get into it because this deck is actually pretty cool. So first off, for the eggs, we are running 4 Coromons. I know some builds are running the newer Coromon that came with EX8, but this one giving you an extra draw can potentially help you draw into the level 7 or draw into a new rookie that you can start a new stack with. So I like this one the most, and I feel like basically in both my two of my main decks, I currently have 4 main decks for this format, and 2 of them use this specific egg because it's just so good. Like getting you that extra draw is just very powerful. But yeah, that's the eggs we run. For rookies, we run exactly 12. And this being a deck where we actually need to search really bad, we run 4 Ukos because... Oh yeah, yeah. Pre-release here. Yeah, 4 Ukos is just really strong. We don't run the other one that gains memory because mainly we just want to search as fast as possible and set up our new stack and then just keep going from there. And of course, checking with the Koromon underneath it gets you an extra draw too. So essentially with it, you're getting a search of 2 with this guy, so pretty strong. And of course, if you manage to somehow keep him alive until the next turn and you push up another Ukomon, both of their effects will stack, so you get 2 cards in a search. So really good. Really solid. Um, then we run, of course, this being a Dinomon deck, we run the 4 Agumons. Aside from the fact that this Agumon's really good for the deck, I honestly just love this artwork. Like, let me put up the camera. I love this artwork. I just love Koromon's face in the back while Agumon is just stuffing his face. It's just a hilarious art, and I love it. But yeah, this Agumon is crucial for the deck because it can evolve on Koromon for 0, but it also searches the top 3 cards for a Tyrannomon in its name, or Reptile, or Dinosaur trait, plus, the Tamer, the Ryotaro. So yeah, and of course, your turn, it gives plus 2,000. Doesn't matter if it's like a Tyrannomon, it's just this Digimon gets plus 2,000, so it's really strong. Then we run, of course. This is where my deck differs from some people. This is where my spice techs come in because I do add in slight Gallant stuff in just so we can have a way to kind of have like a backup plan. For me, I run 2 of the Dinomon from EX4 because this one has the rush, and if you manage to get them to like kind of almost deck out at that point, which should not happen because you should be killing them, but against control decks that like to mill like Purple Hybrid, this is actually really crucial because if you have enough, you just go, okay, cool, I'm gonna swing for game. So having this is really cool, and of course, the fact that this is also a reptile and it's a red. So basically, any of the level 4s can evolve on top of this for a cost of 2, except for the Tyrannomon from, I think, BT14, because it has to specifically do evolution of 3, so kind of sucks, but this Guillemon is really cool for that. Then we run 2 of the starter deck Dinomon because I run the 1 Gallant in this deck. If you lose your stack somehow, I don't know how you do it, but if you somehow lose it and it doesn't fortitude properly, or they have something to protect against fortitude, you can warp up if your opponent has level 6 or higher, and then you can Gallant them and get rid of their board and still set up for turn. So pretty sweet. So yeah, that's basically all the rookies we run. As I mentioned, both these Guillemons are reptiles, so the Tyrannomon from EX8 will work with all 8 of these, so pretty cool. Obviously, it doesn't work with Uko because he's an unknown, but still, it's the fact that he works with all these is really strong. For level 4s, we only run 10. We run the 4 Tyrannomons I just mentioned. This guy's really cool. I didn't know that he actually was a security Digimon either. So finding that out makes him even more cool because the fact that he can come out of security and help you set up for the next turn, which has happened in a lot of my test games where they just hit into one of these and I go, okay, cool, I'm just going to go Tyranno X. I'm going to go up and just basically make my stack and kill your board. So it's really hilarious that he works like that. Also, of course, his inherit gives plus 2,000. Aside from the security effect of being played out, start of the main phase, this Digimon gets plus 3,000 until the end of your opponent's turn. So it keeps it basically, if you can make the Dynamon stat, he is consistently 16,000 on their turn. So really cool. You have to run 4 copies of this. Originally, I was running the other Tyrannomon, but I realized that this one's actually better for evolution in raising, which is basically what you're going to be doing like 90% of the time. So, really crucial. Then, of course, as I mentioned, we run 4 Tyrannomon X. This guy actually has dropped in price, so I highly recommend everybody who's watching this to actually, if you want to build this deck, buy these copies now because they're actually pretty dirt cheap. Like, I got, I think, all 4 copies for like 30 bucks. It's actually pretty cool that it's so cheap to make. Like, this deck in general is very cheap to make. If you go low rarity, easy. No problem. It's like 65, 70 bucks max. So pretty cool. So this guy's really cool. I didn't know that they got a X promo until recently. But yeah, so he can evolve on top of any Tyranno for 0 cost. He evolves for free on top of a red Digimon or red or green Digimon, so really cool. He does have Raid by default, and when attacking, if you have Tyrannomon in this guy's traits, or you have the X-antibody, you can evolve into a Digimon with Tyrannomon or Dinosaur and reduce the cost by 1. And of course, when you evolve, he's going to give them piercing too. So really cool. And with Raid, you can target their highest unsuspend and go, okay, I'm just going to kill it. Yeah, it did. So pretty cool. And then for the last level 4, we run the 2 Tyrannomon I mentioned before from BT14. This guy was originally going to be a 4 of, but then I realized that he actually costs 3 to evolve, so I opted not to go for it because I'm like, yeah, it's good, but like I have to pay 3 and possibly pass the turn with more memory given to my opponents. So I'd rather have this one instead. Plus the fact that this one's a security one, so I feel like that's more crucial in this format. This one, his effect is pretty cool. Start of your main phase for the turn when this Digimon would Digivolve into a card with Tyranno in its name, or Dinosaur, or Ceratopsian. That's just a different type of dinosaur at that point. You get to reduce the cost by 1. So it's not super impactful, but it's still pretty decent. It does have the really cool inherit of end of your turn once per turn. If this Digimon has Tyranno, or Dino, or Ceratopsian trait, it may attack. So pretty cool. So yeah, we run the 10 level 4s. For level 5s, we only run 8, and it's only 2 specific ones. We run, of course, the brand new Master Tyranno. This guy's really cool. He has Fortitude, he has an on-play and a when Digivolving effect, so you basically, both of those will just activate, and then they'll go suspend a Digimon, and then if he's suspended, so if he's in mid-attack, he gets to just pop something 8,000 DP or less. And then he gives a security attack +1 to Dynamon, so in conjunction with Tyrannomon, you're checking at least at like 16 to 17 with, or 18 technically, if you have all the boosts underneath. You're checking for 3 security at 18, and they both have Fortitude, so they're just going to survive it regardless. So pretty cool. And you're probably wondering, like, but what if he hits a Chaos Degrade or something that bounces him or whatever? Well, that's where the new Metal Tyranno comes in. So, on play when Digivolving, and also whenever he Digivolves on top of a Dinosaur, basically any of our level 4s, you can make it a cost trait of 3. That's also, I forgot to mention, that's also the same with Master Tyrannomon. They both evolve on a Dinosaur for 3 cost instead of 4. But, so, on play when Digivolving, you may suspend a Digimon. Then if this Digimon is suspended, so usually, most likely, you're going to be swinging and doing a mid-attack with this, you get to Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and until the end of your opponent's turn, their effects can't return this Digimon to hands or decks, or affect it with de-digivolving. So basically, you prevent bouncing, and then it forces them to have to delete it in a capacity or strip sources somehow. And then he has, of course, being a level 5 cyborg that Dramon can abuse. They just give it all turns when this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, trash the top card to security. So yeah, pretty solid. These are the only level 5s we run because they're both the best ones for the deck. Then, of course, for level 6s, we run the 4 Dinomon. Dinomon is just broken, and in this deck you can reduce his 5 cost down to like 3 or 2 sometimes. He, of course, evolves on top of something for Tyrannomon for a cost of 4, so pretty cool. He does have an alternate evolution cost, so that 4 can become like a 2 or a 1 sometimes. I've actually seen people do a 1 cost evolution before with trainings and other stuff, so it's really cool. He, of course, has security attack +1, and he has fortitude. He also has an on play, and when digivolving, thanks to fortitude. You may suspend one Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with the lowest DP. So if they only have one guy, that guy's gone. Or if they have, like, let's say they have 2 of the same, okay, well, one of them's dying, and if it's an ace, ooh, you're getting that overflow, so really cool. Then on the opponent's turn, while this Digimon is suspended, all of your opponent's Digimon can only attack suspended Digimon. So they can't swing into... So if you only have him on the board, they have to swing into him. And certain decks basically cannot stop that. It's really intensely powerful. Like, this counters certain decks that like to aggro early, especially decks like Purple Hybrid. I actually tested this against Purple Hybrid, and Purple Hybrid can do the loop and almost mill you out, but the problem is that they just can't get through half the time, and they don't actually get to do the when attacking, so they or the end of attack effect. Sure, they'll mill you, but unless you have like everything set up, you basically they basically can't mill you out fast enough, which is really cool. And you check so fast that they can't recover from it. But yeah. Then you run, of course, as I mentioned, we're running 1 Gallantmon. This is my pre-release copy from BT20. This guy's actually really cool because if you can warp up into him with the Guilmon, you can basically delete something, make him blocker, and you can swing and not care about any aces hitting you because of his effect, making it so that on your turn, if you have 0 or less memory, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's effect. So you can swing without caring. And as I mentioned with the boost, they don't mention Tyrannomon boosting. It's specifically just any Digimon, so you can actually boost this up to like 15 or 16 and just check really hard with him, which is really cool. Then we, of course, have to run the 1 Medieval Gallantmon. As I mentioned before in my previous video, I only have 1 copy of him, so I have to only run 1 copy. But when he comes up, and he's just really powerful. He can completely change a game around, which is really cool. Then we go into our level 7s. As I mentioned, we only run 3, but they're very unique. We run 1 Omni Blitz because Omni Blitz basically helps us untap this and go for a game when we've already removed their entire security. Then we have 1 Agumon Bond of Bravery, Ace. This guy is just there specifically because we have Agumon and the fact that you can just Blast Evo and pop their guy from swinging in. So against like decks like Blue Flare, you can leave out an Agumon and just kill them essentially, which is really cool. Then the MVP of the deck, honestly, aside from Dinomon, is Omni X because he can attack without suspending. So basically, it's like superior mode. So if you already cleared all of the security with him or Omni Blitz, even though he's tapped, you can still technically attack. So if they have nothing, you just win the game once you evolve into this, which is really cool. That's usually how I win the games with this one. He also gives himself raid. He has raid, piercing, blocker, and then he gets to just return a Digimon to the bottom of the deck because we usually don't have Omni. If you do have Omni, you get to delete everything but 1. So he's a Gaia reactor, and then he bottoms decks something. And of course, end of turn, once per turn, one of your Digimon may gain Rush for the turn and attack without suspending. So you basically get to just win with him, as we call him the French Omni X at this point. The rest of the deck is just options and 1 Tamer. We only run 1 Tamer because that 1 Tamer basically wins us the game. For the first option, we run 3 red trainings because, as you can see, most of this deck is red, aside from the Uko. So that's the Uko and the Omnimon Blitz. So basically, you're searching everything but these 5 cards. So that's like 45 of the cards you're going to be able to search. Then we run 2 Garnet Memory Boosts. I know this is kind of weird to run it because it's dual color for black, but at the same time, this is a really cool Garnet boost, and it just, it's just pretty solid for this deck. Then we run one red scramble because we can basically cheat an evolution up into Tyranno for free, which is really cool. And of course, if our stack somehow gets completely destroyed and removed fully from the board, this can help us recover and just start blowing up their board again and setting up again. Then the last is the one x-antibody. X-antibody is just mainly there to basically like it's there specifically so that you can sometimes the main thing I've been using it for is to place it under a Dinomon that has come back from Fortitude essentially, so that way he can Fortitude again. This is basically the same exact tactic that we used to use with Heavy Leo, but in this case we use it with this. But now that this deck actually has X forms, you can technically put this underneath this Tyrannomon, swing, and then Digivolve into this, and then this will also trigger his when attacking, and then you can evolve again. So you basically get 2 evolutions out of it. So really cool. And of course, if they hit insecurity, you get the game 1 memory, so potentially you can pass it to your turn. Then of course we run 4 Ryotaros. As you can see, we don't really run a memory setter. I do intend to figure out a way to fit it in, but as you can see, the deck is already pretty tight. I might honestly just take out this this Gallantmon because it's good, but like it's just that backup for Guillaumon essentially, which is decent, but it's like I could technically take it out to fit 1 red tie, so it's just a kind of thing. But yeah, Ryotaro is just really good. The fact that he gets you that extra memory, meaning if they pass you to 2, you automatically go to 3 if they have a Digimon. And of course, the fact is that your turn, when one of your Digimon with Tyrannomon in its name attacks by suspending this Tamer, that Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon with Tyranno in its name or Dinosaur reduced by 1. So you basically get to reduce, and then with the reduce of this, you get a reduce of 2, so you can technically evolve into either of these level 5s for a cost of 1, and then you can pass turn with a training to go into this and suspend it, and then pop their guy, basically. It's really cool. Like, this deck looks really dirt simple, but it has a lot of depth to it because it is a very aggressive red deck, but at the same time, it's a very aggressive red control deck, which is really cool because you're forcing them to swing into this and have to remove it in some capacity. The only thing I can think of that honestly can counter Dinomon would be a Chaos Degrade, but at the same time, it's like you don't really see that in the format anymore, so you don't really have to worry about that. Your main concern is bouncing to hand or deck and deletion now. It's kind of back to the old way, essentially. So it's actually really, like, this deck is really strong. Like, despite the fact that we have new decks, this deck still continues to do pretty well, I feel, especially in my locals. Like, when this comes out, people start sweating because the fact that you just can't get past this makes it so much harder, and you have to get the out to basically get rid of him. Like, the only way I know of in a lot of decks to get rid of him, especially like blues, you have to use Hex. That's like the only way to get rid of him. And even then, it's like if you don't remove all his sources, he's just gonna come back, and then your guy's just gonna die anyway. But it's just that's a very situational thing. Like if you're playing against a deck that's already using Hex, you kind of already outspeed them sometimes, especially like Imperial's fast, but I feel like this actually has a lot more potential versus it because they can't actually do the checks with Pyodra. If you have this on board, they literally cannot get past and do security checks, which is really bad for them because they need to be able to do stuff like that. They cannot be redirected. But yeah, no, this deck is really solid, really powerful, and one crucial thing, it's very fun to play. Just like Dexdoru, this deck is probably going to become one of my favorites going down the future because it's really cool, and most likely because it's part of Liberators, the new series, it will be getting more support later on to coincide with like new chapters and new reveal cards for for this character specifically in his Dinomon. So it'll be really cool to see what happens later on because with a card game tournament and a series, most likely what's going to happen is that there's going to be a big tournament and we're going to see more of his deck essentially, and we might get even better cards for this deck. Maybe like a Metal Tyranno X or something for Metal Tyranno to evolve up into that can like do more de-digivolving and more protection or something. But yeah, no, this deck is just really fun. It's really crazy. I love how it works. Finally have all the cards for it, so I can finally make this deck profile for it. So I'm pretty happy about that. Aside from that, as usual, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you thought of this deck. And as I mentioned a lot in all my videos, this is just a basic template that I have for myself. It's my current build, but you can take it and use it and, change it all around and make it however you want. Maybe you don't want to run the Guillemons, so you can switch it out for other things. But aside from that, I'll see you guys next time.